Hey everybody, welcome back to Texit Raider. My name is Jonathan, and tonight we're talking Texacoin. I dare use the word scamster, but lately, and since the dawn of time, really, all sorts of people have said this is a scam, that's a scam. So I'm here tonight to talk on a few of the things that are either brought up to me or talked about that I've heard at conventions, trade shows, Reddit, all sorts of different places. So to start off, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not encouraging you to buy anything or do anything like that. I have just been in Texacoin a lot longer than most people have been so far. I am miner number 325. So in the grand scheme of things, there are still a lot of miners below me. Whether they know as much as I do, maybe is debatable, but there are now over 20,000 miners. So a lot of new people probably are not seeing or dealing with the same things that I dealt with when I first got into Texacoin, that didn't worry me but bothered others. So I wanted to talk on a few things and get a few things out in the air. So one of the biggest things that I see that's touched on initially is that Texacoin is an MLM, multi-level marketing. So to my knowledge, Texacoin currently has no reoccurring payments or monthly fees for mining. You're not being charged for electricity. You don't have to buy extra shampoo or coins every month. Once you buy a share, you're good to go. So Bulletin 2, you can buy a mining share and never do anything else. Literally, you can just sit around and collect TXC if you want. There are absolutely no requirements to get anyone to join or do anything ever again, other than potentially download an app and log into your mining portal every once in a while just to check on your coins. But there are MLM groups in Texas. Yep, you heard that right. Um, and I don't blame them. That's because it's got a better referral program than probably anything else out there. A better referral program for sure than probably most MLMs. So, hey, those guys are striking while the iron's hot. Do I suggest joining up with an MLM person? Not really. I don't think it's in your best interest. They don't really know much about crypto. They probably got into it for the wrong reasons other than making money, which nothing wrong with that, but there's better people to learn from. That being said, I've been mining since October 28th, 2024. Since then, I've never been asked to purchase any additional items or pay for additional expenses by or from any staff members at Texit Coin or anything that's related to them ever. I do want to make it known that I'm personally not a fan of MLM. In the past, as a younger man, I was taken advantage of and lost money as a result. And honestly, I wouldn't have gotten in on this project if I was told or felt that it was an MLM. Are there aspects that can be seen to be like an MLM? 100%. Uh, and that's kind of cool. But like I said, it just isn't. Texit Coin is a pyramid. Only the people at the top get paid. What are you talking about? So, like I said, I'm miner number 325, and honestly, I feel like I slept on this project. I personally am not a whale. I'm not in the top 100 wallet holders. Um, I found out about Texit Coin at a gun show, right? Of all places. And when I did find out about them, I took advantage of it quickly because some of the best information I've ever gotten on crypto was at gun shows. And I passed on it all, and I could have made millions of dollars already if I had taken that. So there are a lot of people in front of me. I happen to know probably about 25 of them below me. No, mine are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, I think 7, and then a few others that are coming up around there. People that are close to Bobby as friends, neighbors, things like that. Met a lot of cool people. So there are a lot of people below me that have been mining for quite a while, and they have uh, not a bajillion, but a way lot more coins than I do. So I got in pretty late, I feel. That being said, I personally know miners that were added after months of talking to them because of the time that they spent disbelieving, um, or questioning what was going on. That when they finally joined, it was after the 10,000th seat was already filled. Currently, they probably make the most power in coins daily, and they were, in my opinion, way, way late to the party. Like I said, now we have over 20,000 miners, and truthfully, is it way too late to the party? No, I think we're still pretty basement level, so to speak. I say way late to the party because man, you wish you were in the top five, the top 10, even though it feels like 10,000 is a high number, even 20,000 a high number. I think we're hoping to fill 100,000 spots, if I'm correct. I'm probably off on that. Someone will correct me, but there is a lot of people that we need to fill. So, truthfully, getting in right now is still pretty darn awesome. Another miner on YouTube called Seriously Steph has made over 4,800 hash power in less than 2 months of joining, earning her double plus what I make day in coins. She came in, if you think about it, way late to the party if you consider her miner number. And again, she, I believe, started her YouTube channel maybe a month or two ago. So I've been doing this for over a year, mainly focusing on YouTube, not really about getting a ton of people underneath me and making a bunch of money, but getting it out to the people and letting them decide if Texacoin is right. People who can talk, do social media, and understand crypto, I think will do amazingly well at getting people to join. People who can't talk about it naturally will start to talk about it when they see the results are real and they've been benefiting it from, whether they've got dinners, gifts, they paid bills, different things like that. Once you've started using Texit Coin, you've cashed it out, you've seen that you've made money, your income's growing, daily revenue is awesome, and you're not having to do too much in order to get that. From my experience, it's going to be very easy to talk about. Binary payment plan hype. It's all a joke and you'll never get paid, right? So I've chosen to take weekly commission in multiple ways. Hash is one of them. I currently have 2,200 mega hash. That's $21,000 worth of power given to me for free since I only paid for one $995 share. Technically a little less than 21,000, but that's generally what it's worth. I don't max on commission every week. Some of my miners do. Some of them bought 9 packs, and honestly, it's cool to get phone calls or texts to hear about them get 9K in crypto hit their account weekly and how it's wiping out their debt, changing their lives, allowing them to go on vacations and do all sorts of fun stuff. Um, I've seriously not said the Texit word for about a week. And I was able to wake up to an email on Saturday saying that I had an upcoming $1,000 commission being paid out to me that coming Wednesday. So that's pretty slick. Even if you decide sometimes that you're done, you don't need to talk about it, you want to do something else. There's other things in life that are maybe a little bit more important. Texas Coin is still working in the background. Your mind's still making you money. You're still getting paid coins. So obviously, the more work you do, the more benefit it will bring you as an individual miner, but you don't have to do anything. Kind of like I said at the beginning, it doesn't matter if you do anything or not, you're still going to be mining and getting an award daily. I can confidently say that over 90% of my personal miners I had invited have received a commission or bonus that strive for one. So it's silly easy sometimes. I know people, it took me about 15 days for me to clear my investment. I know people that have done it in 3 days. I've had a guy swear to, whoever you want to swear to, but he did it in about 3 hours. Not too hard if you have a couple buddies. and you're able to make some phone calls and tell them what a great project this is. So there's a lot of money to be made. If you're a Texit Ranger, and I talk about that a little bit later, you can have an unlimited cash potential. So some of these guys that are maxing out on multiple PlayStations and things like that, or have their wives and things added, they can get even more money, which is awesome. Texacoin is completely centralized. Decentralization, what a joke, right? Well, I've personally visited the miners in McKinney. Don't know if that's spelt right. Hopefully it is, but that is in Texas. I've been to Bobby's house. Not that the miners are in Bobby's house, but there's a big, huge shed out in the backyard that houses all the equipment. I've seen it, felt it. I've even tasted the mining rig's coolant. So pretty cool. I thought I was going to get shocked and die, and I didn't. I'm still alive. So there's the Marine in me trying to test waters. Um, so that's still in Texas, right? Yep. However, there are miners, like I said, called Texit Rangers, and they have the ability to be sent mining rigs from the company, which will allow them to attach remotely to the network and mining pool in various states, which is also decentralizing it, right? It's not only now just in Texas, but if you're a Texit Ranger, right, someone in the company that's of a little bit more higher stature, then you can have a mining rig. You can plug it in at your house, and then boom, you're mining on the network and contributing at another location. Miners with over what I believe is around 1700 hash, maybe it's 2300 hash power now, or that live in Texas, again, meeting those requirements, are allowed to receive their own mining rigs to mine further, which will decentralize TXC. So if you're in Texas and you happen to have, say, 1700, maybe 2300 hash power, it may be higher, maybe lower. You'll have to ask Texacoin if that's changed, but you can get a rig and help out the community, which is cool. 10% of the miners may live out of the country. So, in theory, if a Texit Ranger moved to a foreign soil, let's say maybe someone moved down to the Philippines or to France, and mining was legal in their area and they can plug in their machine and do all that jazz, then they could even further decentralize the system, which is awesome. There's no open code, no white paper. TXC just isn't transparent, man. Well, they actually are. And to my knowledge, maybe I'm wrong, but a white paper for Texacoin actually is fairly unnecessary, implying that a complex academic document is not needed for a project focus on local financial severity is really not something that's needed. There are a lot of projects that do have it and share it, and if you want to look at their white papers, that's awesome. But at this point in time, and since I've been in, it doesn't seem that it's actually necessary for the project type that we are. People say that there's no roadmap. Well, there's really no telling where this project will go. Over my time in this project, I've come to realize it's impossible to establish a timeline 100% when you're building a brand new layer one proof of work concept like Texacoin. I know miner number three, and he told me that they weren't even on an exchange for months and months. Then, bam, Dex trade. You know, it's hard to set a date on some things when something can be listed somewhere when it's actively being built. And Texit coin itself is a relatively new crypto coin. So again, you know, maybe they're saying, hey, let's put a miner in this location at this spot. Well, unfortunately, we need to get that location secured. We need to get power to it. We need to have the mining rigs purchased. We need to have it all built. We need to have it dropped off at that location, have the power turned on, and then get everything running. And sometimes it happens smoothly. Sometimes there's delays, there's tariffs, there's all sorts of weird things. So, in a sense, having a roadmap with super detailed stuff like that is somewhat impossible. But if you do look online, there really actually is a small roadmap. It's not timelined in a sense, but it does tell you what our steps and goals are. If you look at a major player in the market, Ledger Wallet, they're not open source either. So If someone was to get into Texacoin's code, they could outsource mining, they can disrupt the network, they could jeopardize different account features. There's a lot of different stuff that really we don't want them to have access to, nor does Ledger. There are a lot of companies out there that are open source. You can look at the code, you can check out all that stuff out and verify it 100% yourself, but you don't need to so far with this company. There has, at least in my time and point, been nothing to question anything that's going on in that realm. What they do is openly communicate on their forums and social media about real time events and future projects. So you might not know the date a miner package lands, but you'll definitely see pictures and videos when it does. And most of the project is openly discussed online. So once, say, a new miner has arrived, or maybe 50 new mining rigs, some A9s or something like that pop up, Bobby will actually post a video. He'll show them unloading them, being put in the warehouse, cut open some boxes so you can actually see they're there. So they do show a lot of stuff, but it happens more or less in real time. Texacoin has no development team. Who does the developing around here? Well, Texacoin currently has 7 members of the project direct team listed on the website with pictures and names, so that's pretty easy to search. Texit currently has people working on different aspects of how the project works from across the world. I've talked to them, I've met a few of them, all of them which seem talented in their respected fields, and obviously they have that job and I don't, so they know a heck of a lot more about what's going on than I do there. TXC is an enhanced version of Litecoin, so to speak. So with fundamental yet minor tweaks to the code, we don't really need to employ 40 level 87 wizards nonstop to develop and alter things and change stuff for us and make sure that we have the best code. We've taken something that is functional and has been proven to work, added some tweaks so that we can get more efficiency, match the mining block ratios that we need, and give us a good transaction hash and block ratio. So don't really need to have anything done there with developers. People are literally knocking Bobby's door down, trying to join the project in some manner. So if he doesn't have a team at that point in time, I guarantee you that he does now. Matter of fact, I 100% guarantee that he does. There are not only posts on the forum where he actively is recruiting people to work for the company, but they are growing daily. I can't say exactly how many people are on the office staff, but it is growing. Management's growing. Everything is just increasing rapidly. So it is pretty darn impressive. Texacoin is a honeypot. I will never be able to cash out, which is false. TXC has thankfully been listed since October 24th of 2024, if I'm correct, on what I consider a widely reputable exchange called DexTrade. Texacoin miners originally referred to this as the sandbox. This is a place where we would come to introduce ourselves and grow as a coin. We have not left there yet, but we are continuing to grow on that exchange. We're getting ever lower in its chart position spots. I mean, it is actually really incredible to see it go on there. So do like that exchange quite a bit. Before listing, miners really had to have a bit of faith since there wasn't an exchange, and even the TXC wallet was a fairly new app and a leap from the blockchain mint app when I joined. So when I joined was roughly 4 days after they could actually start trading or selling or cashing out and buying the Texas coins really that they had, other than between users on their app. They didn't really have a way to sell it on an exchange. So imagine how many people had to really sit around and didn't have the ability, but that is no longer an issue. Today you could use Bitmart. You can go on to DexTrade. They are two of the most well-known exchanges that list TXC. to convert its native token trading pairs and send really anywhere in the world in a matter of minutes, as long as you have a receiving wallet address, is very simple. There are quite a few exchanges once you have changed it over to USDT or wallets that you can send it over to. It's really unlimited. I've personally seen sales of $90,000 take place at market price, which is really cool. I've seen 60K coins sold on limit orders over the course of about a week. You know, when we had a lot of steady sideways trading, every time we kind of bump up and then it would level back out. Some buddies of mine that I know that cashed out some coins, did it in a nice way that didn't really hurt the market. There's multiple people that I've helped cash out to pay bills, buy parts for their cars, get firearms and ammunition, luxury goods, all sorts of different stuff to go treat themselves out, or their family or their wives, girlfriends, dinners, stuff like that. So it is actually very easy, and it's the furthest thing from a honeypot now. If you happen to see something like that online, it's probably old, but it's not really an issue anymore. Dead man switch. So what if the founder or something happened to him? Well, for a brief point in Texacoin's time, to my knowledge, the founder himself and no one else really had control over Texacoin other than Bobby Gray. A lot of people asked and joked on the forums or even in person, what if you die? Do you have a security team? Do you have a body double? He's actually considered buying our friend's armored car multiple times. Unfortunately, it's sold now. I've sold him firearms and ammunition to not only protect his family and himself, but his staff. So his business and his home is very safe. I've even stopped traffic during rush hour in Texas so he could walk across the street completely unbothered. At one point, if Bobby fell down a manhole, the project probably was over. However, a lot has changed since then. Now Bobby honestly has a full board that oversees Texit. He has multiple people to ensure that the system stays running during whatever the event really may happen, or any case of issues that may arise, minus something like a super ice storm across Texas, maybe one of the tornadoes that could affect a mining station or a rig. But now we have multiple locations, so that's even less of an issue. They would have to hit multiple substations across Texas all at once to have any effect. When I've traveled and been to events, I've been armed with Bobby. I know that he had off-duty officers and additional members of the TXC mining staff that were armed on site in Vegas with him. I would say it's safe to assume that Bobby has at this point some sort of personal protection assets, adding a further level to his security. So I don't think he's probably the guy you want to go surprising in the bathroom anymore. Still a humble dude, but maybe someone out there might throw you up against a wall. Who knows? Maybe he's got some secret double agents working for him nowadays. Can I lose my mining rights? So what if you say or do something that Texit doesn't like? Especially if you're a Texit Ranger. Once you're a Texit Ranger, you're held to different standards. So actions can be viewed and taken differently. But normal miners typically have nothing to worry about. Once you've purchased a mining share, that share is yours for the duration of the mine's lifespan, which is currently 136 years. So inside Texit, they have other perks and privileges like chats. There's trips, events, contests. Sometimes there's free stuff. There's a lot of different things really that's going on. The big perk about why I got in initially was that there is a huge community. So, however, those things that you earn can be taken away. Ranger statuses can be achieved in Texas, which features additional perks like unlimited cash potential, priority help desk assistance, free trips and vacations, your own mining rig, plus all sorts of other awesome things. Your ranger status can also be taken away as a punishment, or if the performance is not meeting expectations. If, say, you're at an event and you're just shit faced being stupid, those are things that they view could be negative, so they can remove those. Not saying I did anything bad, but I'm a prime example. Somehow, at one point in time, I was a ranger and ambassador for Texacoin. Nowadays, I'm a regular miner. However, none of my core mining rights have ever been affected. So, truthfully, I can attest that Texacoin isn't playing dirty. There are no games that are going on. If somebody has ever been screwed out of or lost their mining rights because of something that happened in Texit, I'm not aware of it, and I'm pretty involved in what's going on. Texit Rangers. So, the whole idea about Texit Rangers, I believe, is changed a little bit from its original goal and view, and a lot of people are always excited and asking about it. They know that Texit Rangers can do a lot of cool stuff, or maybe they get a car wrapped. They're social media people. Everybody wants to be a Texit Ranger, but they don't know what you do or how you get it. So when Texit Rangers came about, it was truthfully supposed to be a highly coveted and a prized spot in the community. When I got in Texacoin, they had a community really like nothing else, and I thought it was truly amazing. Parts of it still truthfully are. Part of being in the crypto community was helping new members and sharing my knowledge of roughly 9 years of crypto experience with others. As Rangers, we were members in the community who did shows for TXC in good light. We promoted them during events, dinners, social media. We helped out on the forums. These were people that were not focused entirely on growing their own team, but rather the community and the project itself. Personally, I did over 30 trade show booths for Texacoin across 5 different states, multiple dinners and events. Once I even spoke in Bobby's place for a show when he had an emergency and had to leave like an hour before the event happened. Uh, I helped launch Texacoin on Bitmart. I have a Texacoin tattoo. I've created an awesome, fun YouTube channel showcasing TXC to the world. I think we're just shy right now of 100,000 views, so that's incredible. I felt like I did a lot to earn that title. And at that point in time, I think a lot of people did do a lot of things to earn that title. But since my time in Texit, and especially since I'm no longer a Texit Ranger, I've noticed it's changed from people that are really want to help to people that just want unlimited cash, the travel perks, or care only about themselves. Doesn't seem they really care about the team, but they want to be known as the coolest person and just have that Ranger title so that they could go to Hawaii and do different crazy crap. So, that being said, I've seen one person that complained so much to Bobby about so much different crap and how it was so unfair that they were not a Ranger and that they helped so much that he just made them a Ranger so that they'd shut up. Being a Ranger is awesome, but it's not what it was originally meant or designed to be viewed as. However, some Rangers are very helpful. There are some really good ones out there. I highly recommend that you do a little research, talk to some people, you connect with them, and you learn as much about Texacoin as you can while they're still around. But unfortunately, a lot of the Texit Rangers today just don't have the same goal in mind as I think it was created.